Is there any better way to enter a word, a teaching? I am so just honored. My heart is just pounding, not because I'm nervous, but because I know what is going to happen because of what happened today. Lives are going to be changed, other lives, because of what they did today. I want you guys to know, we're gonna go right into service right now. But I want you to know that what we're talking about today is going to be something a little different. You can have a seat. God arrested me this week. Like, what does that mean? He changed direction. Actually, like 4 different times. So I don't know. Hopefully the last time was him and not just me. But it's a joke. It's definitely him. But I think that God understood. Do you mind if I just be real with you guys for a minute? I just want to be really super honest. This week has been hard. It's been real hard. And I believe that when spiritual transformation happens, targets get put on backs. I told someone this week at the youth group here, what you don't have a plan for, God or the enemy does, right? So God has a plan for your life, but there's someone else who has a plan for your life as well. And that's what we've seen this week. It's been a little bit of a struggle, even this morning, from things that are like lights to video to cords being broke and all kinds of stuff. And it's because we're seeing life change. It's because the kingdom is being built. It's because we're doing the right thing. So I always tell our team, it doesn't matter if we're doing the right thing for 10 people in the room or 10,000. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we are doing exactly what God called us to do, exactly when he said to do it, exactly how he said to do it. So when God got a hold of me this week and he said, change your series, I was like, what are you talking about? It's my first series. I got to be consistent. He's like, do what I said. I was like, okay. So we're going to take a break, a sabbatical, if you will, from our Culture Talk series. And we're going to talk about something today that just really has to do with what's going on in this church, in the season that we're in this church. And I believe God is building up this church from the ground up. What he's trying to do is he's trying to establish something that is solid, so that whenever we do get more people, everyone in here loves the Lord in a deep way. Because I want to be a church that when people show up, they leave loving the Lord more than when they came, right? And that has a lot to do with you guys. That has a lot to do with you guys just, what your heart health is. So it's a great segue into what today is going to be about. Today I'm going to talk about your heart health. And no, I don't mean your diet plan. I am talking about spiritual heart health. God gave me this sermon and he said, teach them how to respond to brokenness. So I started to label the sermon, how to heal from brokenness. And he said, no, I didn't tell you to tell them how to heal. I'm the one who heals, right? Jesus is the one that heals. I'm not going to tell you how to heal. He's the one who heals. But I am going to tell you how you should respond to brokenness. I'm going to give you 3 practical steps. And I want to just go ahead and let you know this. I don't know if this will be what we do normally, but it's what we're going to do today because I feel it in my spirit. There's some of you who watch this baptism take place, and you think, this is a decision I need to make. So if the Lord is tugging on your heart to be a part of baptism today, I am going to open it up at the end of service to baptize anybody who feels like they need to. So just keep that in mind as we go throughout the service. There are over 633 references in the Bible, in the Old Testament, with heart health. There's over 130 in the New Testament dealing with heart health. How many of you know that's important? If it's that many times, right? There's called a law of first mention when you're studying theology. And like if something's mentioned once, you pay attention to it. But if something's mentioned almost 900 times, how many know we got to pay attention to this? So I believe that there's some people in here that are operating in life with brokenness. And do you mind, and while you're grabbing that, can you grab my water too right there, sir? Thank you. Give it up for Chris. We love Pastor Chris. You're like, what is about to happen? Do you see what I've got? A hammer. That's never a good thing. A cup, some gloves, some glasses. We're going to talk about it here in a minute. But Psalms 27:19 says that as water reflects the face, Christian, you're doing a great job. Can we give Christian a hand clap? He's back there. He was thrown in this morning, and he was ready. He has got a servant's heart. He's ready. That's not the one. It should go in order, buddy, but it's okay. If you have your Bibles, you can get them out, and if you have your phone, you can do that too. But it's Proverbs 27:19 that says, "As the water reflects the face, so one's life reflects your heart." And so I want to let you know that every decision you make is a reflection of your heart health. Everything that you do, put it this way, if your life is full of drama, your heart is full of drama. If your life is full of toxicity, what is full of toxicity? Your heart. If you have problems trusting people in your life, maybe you have trust issues in your heart, because it's biblical. Out of your heart, right? It reflects your heart. And so I think it's really important, and I don't want to get too serious with you, but it is kind of a serious morning, so I'll just go in the way that the Lord directs, if that's okay. My parents left us kids. I have sisters, and my parents were drug addicts, and they left us multiple times throughout my childhood. But there was one particular time that I remember feeling heartbreak, if I could say, like legit heartbreak. Some of you have like a much funnier and cooler heartbreak story. Mine's not funny or cool, but it wasn't like a girlfriend or anything like that. It was something a little more serious. And I remember feeling this moment kind of changed my life. And to be honest with you, I really didn't get healed from this until I was in my early 20s. My dad was leaving this time, and this time I felt like it was going to be permanent. And as he was leaving, I ran out the door and tried to chase him. He got in the car, and literally I chased the car down as far as I could. And down the road, about 100 yards down the gravel road, he stopped. And I remember thinking, it worked. Like, I begged and I pleaded for him to stay. It worked. So as I'm running up to him, the car stops, and so I'm running as quick as I can to get there, and I see him go around to the back, and he opens the back door, and he grabs a couple trash bags, and he throws them out into the gravel driveway. He gets back around, shuts the car door, and goes off. When I get up to see what it was actually just a bag of clothes. That's what all of us kids had, that's all we had was a bag of clothes. So it was bags of clothes of all of my siblings' clothes. And he wasn't stopping because he was going to come back. And I remember feeling really just broken. I remember feeling like my life is never, like, this is terrible, right? You can imagine probably how traumatic it was. The reason why I'm telling you this is not because I want you to feel bad for me, because God has done a work in my life, and I'm healthy, I'm good, but by the grace of God. But I didn't get healthy for a long time. So the reason why I'm telling you this specific story is because there's some people in this room that you're operating from brokenness from something that happened in your childhood. You're operating from brokenness, could be on the way to church this morning. There's no time limit to brokenness, but all of us have the ability to operate in it. And I know that it's really important that we understand the power of doing life with brokenness. We can lighten the mood up a little bit, right? Putting my safety glasses on. I did this illustration a couple nights ago, and good news is I was the only one that bled afterwards. So, probably should do this not close to the baptismal, because if someone decides to get baptized again and gets shards of glass in their foot. This is really powerful. This is really important for you to get, okay? Because this represents the world, this represents life, this represents absent fathers. This represents drug addiction. This represents alcohol addiction. This represents pornography addiction. This represents anxiety. This represents depression. You understand what I'm saying? And so what happens is we all start off with this, and it doesn't break it right away, right? It's just subtle. You know, we don't see it crack right away, but as we continue to operate in these things, eventually we end up with this. Now, some of you said, oh, cool, he broke a glass. That's not my point. That's kind of self-explanatory. Oh, he's going to break glass. He's got a hammer. the point I want to make is this is what we do. We go back and we try to fix something that can't be fixed by our own hand. We try to mend, well, if I'll get through this depression myself. You know, it's not going to take somebody else to help me through my addictions, my anxiety. My depression will get better if I'll just sit on it for a little while. I'll just try to fix it. I'll go to my friend. You know, maybe my friend will help me get through it. You know, I'll trust and believe that, if I just keep being a good person, that God's going to provide a way. I know I'm like failing in my finances and stuff, but I'm just not ready to tithe. I'm not ready to do that thing. I don't believe in it. No, I don't believe in my shoulder can feel pain relief. I'm just going to believe that eventually, one day, it'll feel better. God can heal your knee. God can heal your shoulder. God can heal your depression. God can heal your anxiety. God can heal every part of your life. You cannot. You cannot put together. And here's the thing. We try to put it together, and then we try to utilize something, right? Like, can this hold water the way it used to? Can this serve the purpose that it was created for? I'm preaching, somebody. I hope I'm talking to someone right now, because here's the thing. We just walk around leaking. We're trying to put our life together, and we no longer can operate how we are called to operate because we're broken. We're broken. I promise you there's an area of your life that's broken. It's okay. That's why you're here today. If you didn't know, I'm on assignment for you today. Some of you say, well, I'm good. My life's good, Stone. I'm a happy guy. I'm fine. Like, okay, well, guess what? Brokenness just isn't personal either. You can be broken for the way the world is. You can be broken for your family member who's going through a whole hard time. You can be broken for a friend who just lost a loved one. Brokenness just isn't personal. So if you say this morning, yeah, I'm good, well, let's get real with each other today. Let's think about what areas of our life are broken, because let me tell you something. You can't fix it. This can't be mended by you. And it takes you coming to terms with that before anything changes. So, Stone, how do we do this? Well, I'm going to tell you. There's a story in the Bible that gives us direction on how to handle brokenness. And it's found in John chapter 11. And I'll kind of set you up with what's going on. There's a man there is a man. His name is Lazarus, and his sisters Mary and Martha. Lazarus is sick. He's going to die. And the first thing that he does, the first thing they do is send for Jesus, right? That's a really good response, wouldn't you think? Send for Jesus. Yeah, I'm in trouble. Let's send for Jesus. Okay, so that's what essentially they do. Well, Jesus answers his be real. Some of you got that. Some of you are like, what's be real? It's a social media app. It's supposed to be funny. It worked with the youth. Y'all don't know. Okay, anyways, he answered his phone, and he's like, on FaceTime, he's like, bro, I'll be a minute. I'm in, a couple miles down the way. I'll be there in a couple days. And they're like, oh, okay, kind of like how, have you ever went to God with something? He's like, okay, but like nothing changes? Well, nothing changed. Lazarus died. And by the time Jesus showed up on the scene, he was dead. I'm here to tell somebody this morning, though, when God is in it, dead doesn't mean done. That's right. Only if God is in it. So there are some dead areas in your life that are going to come to life today because God is in it. So he shows up, and that's where I'm going to take off. John chapter 17. So when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb for 4 days. 4 days. 4 days this guy has been dead. This is never, just so you know, Jesus hasn't died and resurrected yet. So you've not seen this, right? So here's the thing. Here's what's really important to know about this. We view delayed response as God rejecting, right? But when you're dealing with God, delayed response is just a recipe for destiny. Because here's the thing. Now Jesus has some good ingredients. He's got a dead person, and he's got someone who wants to see them come to life. That's an ingredient for what? A miracle. Any kind of life transformation is a miracle. And when you look at God as him delaying his response, it's just a recipe for your destiny. I know it rhymes and it's cool, but it means something. It's an ingredient. He's looking for the right ingredients to do something that only, if you just could walk around and set yourself free, why would you need Jesus? If you could come out of the life that you're living in, the sin that you're involved in, the things that you have going on in your life, the failed marriages, the failed relationships, all these different areas, if you could figure it out yourself, why would you need Jesus? You wouldn't. Don't view his delayed response as a no. Okay? Skip down to verse 20. Are y'all with me? I know this is kind of heavy today, but some people are going to be set free in the name of Jesus. Today are going to be set free from brokenness that you've been dealing with. He can do it. He can do it. Verse 20, then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary was sitting in the house. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Now, Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met. What did she do? She got up. But Mary was sitting in the house. If you're taking notes, this is the first point. What do you do? How do you respond to a broken heart? The first thing you do is you surrender to Jesus. Martha surrendered. She went out and met him. Mary did what? She sat. Here's what I'm here to tell you. You're either going to surrender your brokenness or you're going to sit in it. You can sit in your brokenness or you can surrender it. Those are the only two options, okay? So Mary sat in it. You know what happens when you sit in your brokenness? It gets worse. It festers. It becomes more. You don't think, oh, well, I'll deal with that later. This brings me to my next point. There are two people in this room. Every single one of you fall in this category, okay? Two people. There are ears and then there are effers. Okay, I know when that comes out, like, I don't mean that in an explicit way, okay? But there is ears, people who ride on, can you show me a picture? Maybe? There are ears riding on empty, gas light on. I still got 20 miles. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, right? That's my wife. I have never, that's a strong word. I'm gonna say it again. I have never got in my wife's vehicle and the gas light not been on. Is there any men in the house that could just, and some of you women like, that's me. Okay, that's you too, that's all right. Y'all, you don't got 20 miles left. You are going to fall on the street and then you're going to call your husband and be like, hey, can you come give me some gas can? I'm telling you, my wife does it. She knows when I'm going to be driving the van. She lets it get empty. I know it. I know she does. So there's ears and then there's F, comma, E-R, whatever, however you would say that in a nice way. There's those of us who see this and we think, man, I got to get to the gas station, bro. Like, I just got to make sure, like, if I don't, I'm really passionate about this because this is me. If I am on three-quarters of a tank, I'm like, okay, I'm not sweating. Like, oh my gosh, like I got to get somewhere. What if I need to drive somewhere? Like, what if something comes up, right? So I am this guy. Now, this is very applicable to your spiritual life. Come on, somebody, because there are some of you who wait till the gas light is on and it's just not yellow. Honey, it's red. It's red. She just showed up, so I'm looking at her. I'm preaching to her. Baby, we got to get some more gas in that tank, okay? All right? So listen, not when it's yellow. She don't wait for it to be yellow. I'm telling you, it's when, like, have you ever seen your light go from yellow to, it has a red. It has a red. My van does, right? The minivan. Anybody part of the minivan clan? You know what's up? Yeah, we cool. Cooler than you. I wonder how many of you have things that are so broken in your life that you aren't empty. And you wait till the last moment, till it's just so far gone that you need God to do a miracle just to get you to your miracle. We have got to stop writing our lives on empty and expecting God to do a miracle to get us to our miracle. Let's do our part. You have the ability to do your part today. You could be right here today. You could be on empty today. I don't know where you're at, but I'm just telling you, you need to get full because you don't know what's coming, right? And you don't know, you're a lot more effective when you're not worried about if you're going to run out of gas. Maybe y'all, I get some anxiety when I'm riding around that thing. I'm like, every little bump, I feel like the thing's about to die, right? So it's like, it's really bad. But Jesus can't be your last resort. He has to be your first response. And how do you respond? Number one, you surrender it to Jesus. Surrender it to Jesus. I'm in John chapter 11 still. I'm going to read on verse 21. Now Martha said to Jesus, if it's not on the screen, that's okay. I'm going to just read it out loud to you. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, pay attention to this. I have it highlighted. Oh, great job. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not have died. Remember this. This is going to be important. But even now, I know that whatever you ask God will give you. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha said to him, get this, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. What does that sound like? Sounds like a religious response to God wanting to do a miracle. It sounds like some of you in here, when Stone says, you know, God can expect a miracle in your life, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool, a miracle. This is such a religious response because she knows, Jesus said he'll rise again on the resurrection day, everyone will rise with him and blah, blah, blah. So she knows this, but so she's responding. So some of you, you're treating your miracle with a religious spirit, and God can't heal you because you won't take him seriously. I'm preaching harder than you guys are responding. Her response was not, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, Jesus. Why weren't you here already? I wonder how many of you are treating God like that today. Why weren't you here? You should have been here already. Verse, where was I at? Verse 32. I'm skipping down to verse 32. Then when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, check this out. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Different person. Same saying. Here's why. I believe, this is what God showed me this week, that the 4 days that he was dead, they sat around talking about how unfaithful Jesus had been. I can't believe Jesus wasn't here. I can't believe he allowed me to go through this. I can't believe that there's a God, like Levi thought, I can't believe there's a God who would allow this to happen. So much so, they were venting to the wrong person, and that wrong person fed their unbelief to where they were repeating things that didn't even come from their own spirit. Some of you are venting to the wrong people. We touched on this last week. So, point number 2, vent your frustration to whom? Jesus. Let me show you why. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. What does that sound like? Hope there's not glass in this. Just kidding. I should have made it actually last a little bit longer. Some of you are like, this dude is crazy. You are right. My wife would agree. Number 2, you've got to vent your frustrations to Jesus. She is venting. She is mad. She is frustrated. Some of you expect God to be real with you, but you won't be real with him. I am giving you permission today to get mad, to unleash your frustration to Jesus. You know why? Jesus is attracted to your authenticity. Amen. Jesus is attracted to your authenticity. When you go to him with how you're feeling, you know what that gives him the ability to do? To go to you with how he's feeling. Some of us want God and expecting God to do something in our lives, but we won't actually go to him with what we're actually dealing with. We think that he doesn't see us in our closet doing that thing. We think that he doesn't see our text thread. We think that he doesn't see the sin that is going on in our life. He sees it, and he wants you to get right with him. But it takes you doing a step. It takes you venting. You can be mad. Because you know why? It gives him the ability to speak life into you. And then your anger will turn to purpose. Amen? What you don't speak to Jesus, you will throw up on others. What you don't go to Jesus about, you will just throw up. Blech. Literally. I want you to see it. Let's just throw up garbage on people. It just happens because you need that. You need to be able to go to Jesus. Stop venting to people and start being vulnerable to Jesus. That's what I'm trying to tell you this morning, okay? And here's a really good example of this. I'm getting ready to close. Just 1 minute, worship team. I just want to get this thought across real quick. I had an iPhone, still do, but I had an iPhone that was broke. How many of you have ever had an iPhone that's broke? First of all, if you're saying, the problem is you got an iPhone, I'm just telling you, I don't trust you if you have an Android. If you have a green text, you are not trustworthy. If I see a green text, I'm like, I don't even know. Like, God, please help. Jesus, intervene in this situation. We're going to have a special prayer service for all Android users right after service. We're going to dunk your Android. Raised to new life. They ain't waterproof. There ain't nothing about an Android that's... Anyways, this ain't scriptural. I had an iPhone that was messed up. And how many of you know when you have a phone that's messed up in this day and age, it's like your whole life is over. Like, oh my, I was like everything. Like, I would just, someone in the gym like, hey dude, you know my phone's broke? So I can't even use it, bro. It won't even charge. Like the import sucks, man. Anyways, have a great day. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? When your iPhone's done, when your phone's done, it's like your life's over. So anyways, maybe that's just my problem. I need the help. But I do a lot with my phone, and I remember it was broke, and I was telling everyone this. You know what people told me whenever I told them that my iPhone was broke? Man, that's terrible. I can't believe that, man. They should make that thing better. I can't believe it. Can you believe that? Like, you've got all this work to do, and you're expecting some big company with trillions of dollars not to fix your phone. I mean, isn't it just against the man, right? It's just everyone's just against the man. It's all about right? It just go down this whole list of like how all the world's against you because your stinking iPhone charger's broke, right? The import thing, right? So every person I told, you know what they did? They just regurgitated my feelings back to me. You know why? They can't fix my iPhone. Can't fix it. Some of you are venting to people that can't fix your problem. And in fact, not only are they not fixing it, they're regurgitating the bologna sandwiches. That's my vernacular for garbage, or CRAP, okay? They're just regurgitating it right back to you. I'm not being funny when I tell you that you've got to go to the supplier. You've got to go to the miracle maker if you need a miracle. I wouldn't call my family physician and ask him to come to my house to fix my heat pump. Some of you are doing just that. Some of you done that this week. Even after your pastor told you not to last week, right? No, but seriously, one day I just like, you know what, I'm gonna call iPhone. I'm gonna call Apple. So I called Apple. You know what they did? Sent me a new phone, fixed it. Done. What would have happened if I just done that like a month ago, right? If I had just done it when I saw the problem. I was riding on E. It's a silly situation, but it's so much truth. You can't go to just a random person to fix your iPhone. You got to go back. You got to go to the person that can actually fix it. And Mary and Martha knew this, so that's exactly what they did. Verse 43 and 44. You guys can come ahead. I'm gonna finish here. This is where the story closes out. Jesus tells Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died came out, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, loose him and let him go. Number 3, if you're taking notes, how do you respond to brokenness? You believe in the impossible. You believe in something that doesn't seem like it's realistic. Does it seem realistic to them that God could have brought him out of the grave? No. Some of you, God wants to do something in your life and you really think that's just not realistic. I'm too far down this addiction. I'm too far away from I'm broken. I am broken. And you look at yourself like this because our world specializes in breaking things. But let me tell somebody this morning, God specializes in rebuilding things. Where a world breaks things, God rebuilds, okay? And so I have some more stuff, but I'm going to finish with this thought. There was a Japanese ruler. I'm not going to say his name because I would do terrible. Ooh, is that worship? I love Thomas, man. He gets all the right video clips of me and then posts them, and like people get to hear the word through his phone. Thanks, Thomas. Love you, bro. Seriously. But there was a Japanese ruler, and his name is terrible, so I'm not going to say it, just because I don't know how, to be honest. But he, 700 years ago, his favorite teapot broke. It's a true story. You can Google it later. Don't do it now because you'll get distracted. But his teapot broke. He was really upset about it. This man was one of the most wealthy emperors in all of the world. Wealthy, wealthy, wealthy. But he decided to outsource his problem, so he called for someone, hey, take this, take it to China. How many know that was the first problem? Nothing good comes from China. Anyways, I'm going to get canceled. Sorry. Sean, anyways. All right. So he sent it to China, and it came back broken. That's a joke. It did come back broken from China because everything from China is broken. Right? I'm serious. I feel probably really strongly about this because like 3 things that broke this week, all of it say made in China. Anyways. All right, 700 years ago, this is what happened. This dude comes back, and it's still broken where he sent it off. And so he starts to question everyone in his group. He's like, listen, everyone get around me, all my close friends, all my people. He's like, listen, we are one of the wealthiest people in the world. Why can't we fix this teapot? So they get together and like, we're going to figure out a way to do it. Because the Chinese, they just like stapled it and like it wasn't actually accessible. Couldn't use it still. So he said, we got to figure out a way to do this. That is where the famous art known as kintsugi came about. Do you have my picture? Kintsugi is the art of taking broken glass and filling it with gold, pure gold. And after, how many of you know gold is pliable when it's metal, when it's melted down, it's pliable, so you can get in these cracks and you can fit it just right. The bowl doesn't have its same shape after it gets done, but guess what it can do? It can be used. Guess what else? It's worth way more than it was before. There are people in this room that are broken. But when God gets his hand on you, you come out worth more than you ever were before. Amen. Your mess becomes a masterpiece in the hands of God. Amen. Stand to your feet. I want you to understand this only happens through response. Response to Jesus. He can't make something beautiful out of something broken if it's not brought to him. Humble yourself before the Lord today. Get vulnerable with Jesus. Who cares what the person next to you thinks? It doesn't matter. You know what matters? You leave this place healed. You leave this place free from your bondage. You leave God can do it. But first you have to surrender. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to surrender. And then I'm going to give you an opportunity to vent your frustration to Jesus about what it is that you've been going through. And then I'm going to give you the opportunity to believe in faith that he's going to do the impossible. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this thing back up. It's 94 degrees. It's hot and ready. Anybody who wants to get baptized today is going to get baptized. And if there's no one, I think there is somebody. So I'm not even going to say that. I don't believe God would tell me to open it back up if there wasn't. I have a shirt for you, and I have a towel. It's not that cold. If you're supposed to be made new today, you need to get your tail up here when it's time. Because there's no better day than today. I've never done this kind of thing before, so we're going to just go with it. Everyone bow your heads. If you're in this room, the first step is surrender. If you need to surrender your brokenness to Jesus, I want you right now as a public way to saying to Jesus, I need to surrender my brokenness. I want you to shoot your hand up right now. God sees you right where you're at. I see you, and I'm proud of you because this is the first step for you being healed of your brokenness. You can put your hand down. I'm going to give you one more opportunity because there's someone that didn't lift their hand that needs to. And you know exactly who you are. And God showed me you before the sermon even started. I'm going to say one more time, if you need to surrender your brokenness to Jesus, all I'm doing is asking you to raise your hand. I see you. I see you. All right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to bow your heads. I want you to repeat these words after me. Jesus, I love you. I thank you because today is a new day. It's the beginning of the rest of my life. Come on, say it with me for everyone else who's repeating this. Be with him, partner with him. God, I ask that you would come into my heart, that you would save me. I surrender my brokenness. I surrender my vessel. I ask you, God, from this day forward, have your way in my life. Look at me. I want you, between you and God, for the next 30 seconds, I want you to vent your frustrations to Jesus. You can do it in your head. You can do it, I don't care. I want you to communicate with him that you have been made aware of your brokenness. You are giving it to him today. And you're going to make another step forward today. So I want you to do that. Close your eyes. Focus on him. I want you to tell him right now. God, I know you see me right where I'm at. I know that I don't always see what you're doing. I know that things were broken today. We didn't have every area exactly the way we wanted it today. We worked hard, but God, we know that you had a plan today that superseded anything on the surface. So I just want to say to you, God, that I love you. And I'm grateful that you have placed this church in this city. I'm grateful that you've placed these people in this community. I'm grateful, God, that you have done what only you can do. I'm thankful, God, that you have given 4 people the courage to step out and to publicly declare their faith today. And I thank you for that, Jesus. Thank you for taking my frustration and making it holy. Amen.